All right, so Drew, now we're going to move on to most tech-packed. So these are the irons that, we kind of look at and say, man, they're really pushing the limits of what's going on with iron design. Many of these, I think, pretty much all of them are multi-piece. They kind of are trying to get everything, whether they're trying to get a little more distance, forgiveness, feel, all that. Like it's one of those where these are the irons I feel from each company that they're really kind of putting everything they have into it. And again, it doesn't really limit it to a handicap range or anything like that. We're just, kind of looking for irons that companies are just trying to just stuff all that engineering into them. And we start off at the top with an iron that I think, not that I was surprised was here, but I was kind of shocked it was as high on the list here. But the Callaway Paradigm AI Smoke. From everything I've been talking to people, it is an absolute distance machine. I have one here. I haven't actually got out to hit it yet, so I'm excited to. But the look is good. I think Callaway kind of, again, is doing a good job making stuff that doesn't look super game improvement while giving you the benefits of a super game improvement club. But, they're hot. They go a long ways. And for a lot of people, they're looking to add that to their bag.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of talk about this AI smart face, and what goes into it, and kind of the marketing that Callaway does for it, right? But I think in our testing, that's really, really good on, the missed hits that you might have, say, low on the face, or maybe even towards the toe or the heel. You are seeing a lot of performance retention on those shots, and so I think that's where, over the years, Callaway's been using their supercomputers, if you want to call it that, and sort of using AI to design the clubs. Slowly but surely, you're kind of really seeing how much of an impact that can have. And I think this face design on these irons, and really throughout the AI Smoke sort of lineup, you're seeing that off center performance is really good.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they've gone through so many face revisions from what they tell you that,
right.
They're really starting to get it down. I mean, woods and irons both. I mean, it's pretty impressive what they're doing with those faces. And then an iron that, we just kind of finished talking about just before, but TaylorMade's P790 in here again. And I think, you and I kind of both touched on it. The tech that's in this iron there's a lot of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what they do next if they're going to do another iron in this category. I mean, P790 has about everything you need, and you talked about earlier is just how great it looks too. So I truly don't know and what's next. I'm no golf club engineer, so I mean, there's probably something out there that they're working on over at TaylorMade, but there's not much more they can add to it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and with these hollow bodies, it's just kind of crazy to see what they do inside. And like I said, before, TaylorMade did a good job of kind of promoting the fact that these irons are all different kind of designs internally. But it's amazing where they have little tungsten weights, and they've, like you mentioned, they've got the speed foam in there, and there's all these different things that they're able to do inside this. And then when you look at it from the back, it just kind of looks almost blade-ish in a way. Like it's just got a really classic, simple design. And you're right. I mean, them being able to package all that tech in there is pretty impressive. But the other thing about that I kind of failed to mention the first time too was it isn't a crazy high launching iron either. I think some people look at that iron as their flagship and it's super forgiving. It doesn't come out straight up in the air. I mean, it does have a little bit of a penetrating ball flight. So if you're a player who thinks it may not be for you because you hit it high anyway, it's an iron that, like I said, doesn't come out crazy high. You might be surprised at how well that plays.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we move into another Titleist iron, the Titleist T350. I think people kind of forget about this iron a little bit with the success of the 100, the 150, and the 200. But what are your thoughts on the T350?
Yeah, so stable. There's, I know Titleist has done a ton with this category in terms of their tungsten weighting and the strategy behind that and strategic placement. But it's again, it's a similar story in that, with the AI Smoke, you kind of had the club face design and how forgiving. And so I think Titleist, same way in that the off-center performance is really, really good in the 350. And anybody that's mid to high handicap that, feels like they're maybe losing some performance when they don't hit the center of the face, I think this is a really good option to start with.
Yeah, I was really impressed with it when I got to hit it when I went to do my T-Series fitting, last year. It was impressive because I got to hit it, and while it wasn't the iron that made it into my bag, it was really impressive to see just how high and straight it went, and to what you're saying too, that forgiveness built in, the face, the ball speed. You just didn't see a huge variation in ball speed when you hit it dead center, when you missed it a little, sat on the toe, you hit it a little low. All those spots, the ball still carried, and when you looked at those carry yardages, you just weren't penalized for a big miss hit. You could hit it a little off the toe, and that ball probably still made it to maybe the front of the green. You weren't sitting in the greenside bunker. You were on the front of the green, and you had a putt, for par, birdie, or whatever it was. So, yeah, and again, as I guess I'm like the fashion guy, the package is good. I think the previous 350 or 300 was a little on the big side. It was a little chunky, and they've definitely slimmed it down on the 350, and again, given a much better look. I think there was somebody on tour who had like a 3 or 4 iron in the bag as kind of like a utility iron
I think it's
for a short time
I
as
think
well.
he might have the I think 3 iron or 4 iron as sort of his I guess driving iron. Kudos. I mean, that says something, right? That the club has to look good enough for those guys, because those guys are so aesthetics oriented, and so if it looks good enough for them to play, then it obviously looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's exactly right. If it can go in those bags, their eyes are pretty specific on what they want and what they need. So, and then we get again to the Srixon ZX5 Mark II, and again I know some of these kind of make it onto multiple lists, but yeah, the ZX5. I mean, it's just so good. I mean, you get good feel with it. There's probably not too many irons in that category if you look at kind of the forgiveness and distance that sound and feel as good as the ZX5. And also, as I mentioned before, I mean, the amount of that little bit of offset that it has is so minute that even that player like myself who kind of hits it left, you play a big draw, you're not going to be scared of it. You can go into that iron knowing I'm going to be able to hit it straight. I'm not going to be worried about it going farther left than I need to go. And that sound and feel is just really solid.
Yeah, add another one to the Srixon trophy case, I guess, because it's the performance that you get and the technology packed in here in sort of this tech packed category. You would not envision an iron just looking at the ZX5 Mark II and how good it looks that this would fall into this category. But as you said, all the things you mentioned about the performance, consistency, and we had talked about versatility early on, how it can be a weapon for, pretty much darn near any golfer that might be up to like a 20 handicap, or maybe even a little bit higher. So really good from Srixon.
Yeah, they did a great job with that one. And then to round out the category, an iron that is kind of, I feel like when you say irons, this is what you think of, but it is the Ping G430. I think, being Ping, the G, whatever number you want to put after it in the series, whatever they come out with next, whatever, it is just always on the list. They're a company that just doesn't, they don't mess it up. Especially with this iron, it's their bread and butter. And the G430, again, I think they've done a great job of slimming the package down, making it look really good from address, because I know even myself, I've never been the biggest Ping fan when I set something down. I love the performance. They absolutely work, but I've never loved the look. And when you look at the G430, you can tell that they took a lot of time to make this thing look good. And for those players like me who maybe would have skipped it just out of the visuals, now you're going, whoa, wait a minute. This is a really good looking iron, but super easy to hit, forgiving. It just, it's a performer.
Yeah, I think Ping is sort of, I think they're kind of aware in the sense that there's a certain segment of players that don't love the aesthetics or love the sound right away, because the performance has always been there for Ping. Like, there's never been a doubt about the performance and forgiveness of their clubs, especially in this category. But definitely they're taking some steps to address that and apply some different technologies to improve the sound and feel. And then you mentioned the look as well as much cleaner with this iron versus, say, G425 or even other prior models. So, fantastic. G430 is our fitters just can't say enough good things about it, how good it is for so many players out there.
Yeah, and with fitters with that too. Ping also giving you kind of the option for, ordering directly, the power spec, or a slightly more traditional loft. Giving fitters an option there that if they have a player who wants a little extra distance or needs to take a little spin off, we can order them strong and do that. If we have a player who needs to hit a little higher, needs a little spin, something like that, you don't have to worry about. It's not a big thing. Ping just has it, and
right.
You have those options for the fitters to really dial in players, and not everybody does that, and that's something that kind of is a little bit special with Ping, and just give some more options to get players dialed into the right iron, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I think one other thing on that too is just with sort of this increased popularity of the game, especially sort of in the younger generations. What you have is a lot of players that might not be the most skilled or consistent ball strikers. So you have players that might have they're in their 20s maybe, they're playing a lot of golf. They have some speed, but they might not have the most consistency. And so the G430 in that retro spec were players that can, they need to make sure they might already generate a ton of speed, right, a ton of spin, or in the power spec on the same token, and kind of make sure that stays down, right? They have all these options, and it's so easy to order that with G430. So it's really, I mean, it touches so many players. It's really good.
Yeah, no, a great iron. So this was the Most Tech Pack, and again, you're looking at the Callaway Paradigm AI Smoke, TaylorMade's P790, the Titleist T350, Srixon ZX5 Mark II, and the Ping G430.